you're watching Luntha Television. Welcome to this edition of Press Review right here on Luntha TV. My name is Charity Chilanga and I'm joined by
Alice Chibambe.
Right, we'll be taking you through some of the stories that are appearing in our newspapers, and that's the Nation as well as the Daily Times newspapers. We'll be taking through the Nation newspaper, and to begin with, the front page of the Nation newspaper, PIL scales up fuel imports via Leo. And part 3, the story leads Petroleum Importers Limited, PIL, has moved to ensure security of fuel supply by scaling up importation of the commodity through Leo with 11 wagons offloaded in Frontier yesterday. The development follows erratic availability of fuel, especially petrol, in some parts of Frontier and surrounding districts over the past fortnight. Sure.
You have anything to say?
Yeah, this is a very good development. Nziko muno takhala tikudandaula nkhani za mafuta kwa nthawi yayitali, indi panaoneka zakuti vuto limene lambaso maka chigawo chakumwera ndiye akubwera kwa mafuta amenewa azithandizira malon queues and stuff, ndi mavuto ena amene amabwera chifukwa cha kusowa kwa mafuta.
Mafuta pachakasowa nkhambanyana maneza milenge.
Yes.
This one I remember visiting quiz that was so. Moving on the front page of the Daily Times, and the headline needs Shapira as agriculture sector in job creation agenda. Part of the story leads the President versus Shapira has said Malawi has prioritized the agriculture sector to enhance job creation. The sector contributes about 25% to gross domestic product and employs about 80% of the country's workforce. The President made the remarks at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the United States, where he affirmed Malawi's commitment to the global accelerator initiative through diversification, mechanization, and value addition. Akona zodi kumbali mene ya agriculture imene ungathandizire kulemba ndithu haujuka ntchito muno Malawi, which is true. Mano anagamba nkhani jati ma mega farms.
Yes,
I don't know ngati zikuyenda choncho background ipa or it's just the unsung song very machitika
Basi implementation poor.
Zero.
All right, moving on to the second page of our Nation newspaper. Coalition cautions on varsity fees hike roll out, and partly the story leads the Civil Society Education Coalition (CSEC) has proposed the phased implementation of tuition fees hikes by public universities to avert protests such as the one at Mzuzu University in Mzuzu last Friday. In a statement co-signed by CSEC board chairperson Limbani Sapato and executive director Benedicto Kondowe, the coalition says Mzuni protest against the fees hike and the subsequent closure of the university should serve as a lesson to other universities that are yet to implement the hike.
Hey. In this country, I don't know how mobility like for sure.
Yes.
Economically, things are not making sense. The abomavasodi I fees abuwera maskwena ategedwa. This kanga disubwezesa so mbuyo mapunziro. Mapunziro zero abansi. Before there's no way mabezo mafuniko muno bange, let's say ategera school. Ategere. Abanga madimu na abanga madimu uli mafia wera that's time.
Yes.
They ateka. Muntu you're supposed to graduate this year. They wouldn't get back. Kabiro de azaga muso tabi yes. Kaya mina azaga zwi sogoro. They were the zero no. To my guess is it down bava na jugos na gantu. Okay. On the page of the Daily Times, the headline reads ACB claims to SATA linked to bank accounts. And part of the story leads the Anti-Corruption Bureau yesterday appeared before Lilongwe Chief Resident Magistrate Madalitso Ojumaza seeking a restriction notice renewed to that bank accounts linked to business magnate Zunef SATA can remain frozen. SATA, a business person who is based in the United Kingdom, is facing graft charges in Malawi. At the moment, the Bureau wants the accounts to be frozen until it finishes investigations. taigamba gowanira taigamba kumakuti
kuimba ngati nyimbo
inde idamba galegale anthu somwina apena ina sanaiwana kuti adasiyamanga folo kuti kuti nkhanezo survive ndamotani komano ICB akuti amfunabe kuti mabanki accounts ake onse akhalibe ali otseka kuti asamakegwitsa ntchito ndalama zimene tinanga anabera Malawi akuti ndalama zokazana zoti ayibwezale zakhaza kuti zilipo akatsekulamezoti
Alright, ceded rights Chilima Overall, and part with the story leads the Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiative, ceded, has written Vice President Saurus Chilima to push for speedy identification of a new contractor to complete the Mloza Mulanje Drift Sukasanje Chilinga Road that connects Muranje and Palombe. The road has remained abandoned 2 years after government discontinued the contract with MA Kalafi. Anamiwa akuti awalembera Achilima ati atangolowa kumene mboma anakaletsa contractor amene amakonza nsewu umene kumwera kuti analengeza kwa anthu akumene kuti atasiya contract ija ndiye akufuna Achilima abwereso poyera kunena kuti kodi za ntchito imeneyi zili pati kwenikweni
zase umene upitirira kapena basi
ndithudi
nava ndithwala madandalo kuti yayi nthawi ya mvula ikabwera anthu azikutika mayendera misaudi imavuta kuyenda nthawi ya mvula ndi makekhala zoti nsewake odusa ndi omwewo ndiye uzipita ku sukulu izoti waterereka
ndiye timva kuti Achilima anenenji sure.
On the 4th page, MCP pledges youth employment revival, and partly the Malawi Congress Party, MCP, has promised to revigorate industries and generate job opportunities for youth of Malawi. Tasil Central Registrar, CAM MCP National Executive Committee member Kenny Kandodo said this at a political rally at Lumbudi Primary School in Brantaya on Sunday. Kandodo, who is also a member of the MCP National Executive Committee, acknowledged that the unemployment rate in Malawi was a source of concern, attributing the development to the closure of government entities in the early 1990s. Let's hope Udwina Ziji Kala Kambara Majabi, Suraidu and Kanichido, a lot of promises have been made by these political people, by MPs as Ivan as Luciana Siana. Amagamba zinzosiana siana kuti ali machiro anazoti mina kuti unemployment rate is high in the country. They are there to revive my industries. Let's hope.
Yeah, let's just hope so. Yeah. Moving on to the business segment of the Nation newspaper, Standard Bank launches SMEs support initiative. Standard Bank PLC has relaunched the Poker Business Incubation to empower small and medium enterprises, SMEs, and equip them through knowledge, skills, and funding. Speaking during the launch in Lilongwe on Friday, the Malawi Stock Exchange listed banks ahead of business and commercial banking Graham Chipande also announced the allocation of 10 million kwacha to the paste-based business idea among incubates for agribusiness.
On the business segment, Rihanna leads the film predicts slow growth, and part of the story leads financial advisor the film. Bridge Path Capital has projected that growth of the local economy will remain subdued in the next 4 years, foreseen at an average of 4% in 2027. This is contained in its Malawi Economic Indicator Projections Report, which consolidates data from the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, IMF, Economic Intelligence Unit, EIU, Oxford Economics, and Reserve Bank of Malawi, among others. It cites weather shocks, particularly Cyclone Freddy, which negatively impacted the agriculture sector and the economy at large, as a major factor that is expected to undermine Malawi growth, the domestic product growth in 2023.
Alright, tax incentives boost solar power usage. Tax incentives on solar equipment introduced in the last fiscal year have started bearing fruits, with the Renewed Energy Industries Association of Malawi saying the solar market has become attractive and competitive. In the 2022-2023 financial year, Treasury removed import duty and excise tax on some solar products to promote the use of green energy in support of the government's initiative to reduce the strain on hydroelectricity and to support the use of alternative sources of energy to help rural people that are off the national grid.
EDF disperses 80 billion kwacha in 8 years, and Banana Story leads a statement issued by Export Development Fund. The EDF has indicated that some 98 export-oriented local businesses have accessed funding worth 82.9 billion kwacha between 2014 and 2022. It further indicates that the institution has contributed to the creation of over 25,000 jobs and saving at least 1,400 jobs by supporting a transformative export-oriented transactions and infrastructure project. EDF Managing Director Frederick Chanza said since inception, the fund has expanded its mandate to cover critical areas that support the national transformation agenda.
Moving on to arts and culture, Zaluso Arts tackles gambling betting, and Patri the story leads what started as a research by creative platform Zaluso Arts to assess the effects of gambling and sport betting on Malawian communities is culminated into the introduction of a radio program called Gambling, Leisure or Livelihood. The leaders of the project say the radio program is using poetry, music and drama to debunk data collected as part of the research to broaden the reach of the messages. The radio program is a journey through the experiences of youths from Area 25 in Mulonde who participated in the research known as Photo Voice, which involved interviews, observations and photography.
Maso Awards legacy begins, so that's a headline, and part of the story leads the journey to the grand finale of the 2023 Maso Awards to be held on November 25, 2023 at the Bingu International Convention Center in Lilongwe has begun following the opening of nominations yesterday. Organizers, led by Executive Director Augustine Okusi, said yesterday that people should take time to nominate their favorite artists in the 32 categories. The launch of the nominations process comes barely 2 weeks after organizers announced the categories.
Moving on to the back page of a Nation newspaper, that's local sports. Bullets miss opportunity to cash in on TV rights. FC Binyasa Bullets missed an opportunity to cash in on television rights after failing to have their high-profile CAF Champions League second preliminary round home match against TP Mazembe beamed on television on Sunday. Apparently, Bullets failed to reach an agreement with local production houses, Public Broadcaster Malawi Broadcasting Corporation NBC, privately owned Imibawa Studios and Mpila Television.
Bangwe All-Stars trio wanted in Saudi Arabia. And by the story, 3 Bangwe All-Stars youngsters have been invited for trials by Saudi Arabia second-tier side Al Fossi following their impressive from the TNM Super League. Malawi national football team batting player Robert Gomez Saizi and his 2 teammates Emmanuel Reno and Chikumbutso Salima, who is on loan from FCB Nyasa Big Bullets, are expected to undergo trials from September 25th in the oil-producing country. Bangwe owner Paso Jika confirmed the development yesterday, saying they are finalizing visa processes ahead of their departure next week.
Alright, there is a story Tabitha seals PSG loan deal. That's the main headline, and the sub-headline says Nike also take her on board. And Patri, the story leads, Revealed Malawian women football star Tabitha Chawinga is expected to complete a 1-year loan move to French women's football top flight league side Paris Saint-Germain PSG following protracted negotiations yesterday. The Scotia's captain is said to start a new lease of life in the glitz and glamour of the world's fashion capital Paris after signing the deal from Chinese side Wuham Jiada yesterday.
Nomad's Bremen technical panel and history reads, things have gone sour at Mighty Nkulu Wanderers with the technical panel taking in the fright following the team's exit from the FDH Bank Cup. Wanderers lost 1-0 to Mafco in a semi-final, tired Kamoso Stadium to bow out the FDH Bank Cup. The team's board secretary, Chance Gondwe, accused the Mark Harrison-led coaching panel of failing to reach the final. When you have best players but you fail to field them and win, we have a serious technical problem. That was what Gondwe had to say, accusing the panel. Zambia. I think the coaching panel was not good. Okay, I don't really understand football sometimes because Mpira, team we loser, we blame the coaching. Team we winner, we congratulate the players. Now loser, who is to be blamed by me? Mungaduze kuda kangatitu zikwenda kumezimene kumenda yontu kuti ikaluza basi makocha afinyike tanene nayi
ingapambana maplayer
mwagira ntchito makocha njama kanga ntchito amene agira sibonera.
Yeah. All right. The very last one, that's international sport. Real maintain 100% start, and part with the story leads. Real Madrid came from behind to extend their 100% start to the season to 5 games with a 2-1 win